What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports Morning Show. I am your host, Mangone. I am here with Titletown, and we're going to talk about he had a nice little win in the MMA streets this weekend, so we're going to talk about that, talk about the live final seat that he hit, and then we're going to talk some NBA. We're getting around the corner where NBA is almost over. We're going to have the finals, it'll wrap up, and then it'll be MLB season. We'll have a ton of MLB stuff, then we'll get in the NFL. I'm sure we'll do a lot of NFL preview stuff here on the morning show. So, of course, subscribe to the channel so you guys can check out when it all goes live, and like this video. We appreciate it over here at Run Pure Sports. Title, how are you? How's the week going? And how are you feeling after the nice MMA win?
Yeah, I got back into Austin Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. All these days blend in nowadays. So back in my routine. I know we were talking about it a little before. It's nice. I'll be heading to the gym after this. Get to lay by the pool. It's supposed to be like 95 today. So it was fun in Wisconsin. Deer District season was shorter than I hoped. I wish the Bucks got the fraud Miami Heat instead of the Celtics in the second round. Then Middleton hopefully would have been healthy. But man, Boston's a good team. The finals should be Warriors, should be Celtics, and I think that'll be a good finals. But we'll talk about it. I think Dallas is going to give the Warriors a battle today. So never say never. The Heat are still in it. Dallas is still in it. But we'll talk some NBA. As far as MMA, yeah, it felt nice to finally get a live final seat. I mean, I've been so close the past couple of weeks. I needed Rose to get any sort of win. Even if she got that split decision win, I would have got one. Nick Maximov, the biggest favorite on the card 2 weeks ago. If he got the win, I would have shipped there. So it felt good to finally get one home, and we'll talk about it. But I was sweating them. It was the main event. I needed the main event favorites, and I thought I just assumed like you don't ship 900 plus contests with a loss, and that's what this was. This was like the $20 930 people or whatever it was in it. And I needed Holly home. I thought if she won, I'd for sure ship. I only needed like 65 or something. And if she lost, I just assumed I'd lose. I assumed someone would catch me. So when the decision didn't go my way, I was like, well, I ran bad again. Not run bad, but I was on the wrong side of it again. I didn't get it. This is the last shot to get in the qualifier too. And I was surprised when I saw I actually still did win and no Vieira lineup did pass me. So felt nice to get one. It's not a live final yet. It's an interesting one. There's 70 people in it. There's 3 rounds. So 70 people gets cut down to 30 in the first round. That's online. Then 30 people get cut down to 10, which is also online. And then they fly out the 10 people to some pay-per-view event. There's still no timetable or anything on this, which is interesting. And then those 10 people that you get to go to the pay-per-view, and then you fight for the championship. So I'm excited for it. Hopefully you can run Pier. I know Hoops got 2 in there, Big T, Raul, Pinto got Flo. A couple members got some seats too. So hopefully someone from RPS can get pretty good and take it down.
So they narrow it down. So I guess it's going from, what was it again? You said it goes from
70 to 30 to 10 to the live final.
All right. So will you play? I'm assuming the first one you'll play like a cash game, right?
I'm still deciding. I'm still debate. Yeah, like it's an interesting one, and
it probably depends on the card. I'm sure that matters.
Exactly. It comes down to the card as usual, and it comes down to the main event at the end of the day. Like if it's because I was thinking all this, and I'm still going to be thinking about it. If it's like a Rob Font, Jose Aldo, or like 135ers, 125ers, that maybe it's plus 125 to end inside the distance. So you're expecting to get all 25 minutes from high volume guys on both sides. I'll probably stack it. Like I would not be afraid to stack in a situation like that. You can play it like a cash game. It's not, you have to cash. It's not 50% move on, but still 30 of the 70. However, if it's like a heavyweight fight that's minus 500 to end inside the distance, I'm probably not going to stack it because you're going to want the winner, because the loser is probably going to score 5, 10, 15, maybe if it ends inside the first round. So it's definitely card dependent. And yeah, like I said, this is my first time qualifying for the MMA, so I'm kind of trying to think about it too. So we'll see based on the card, but yeah, I was thinking similar to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thought process. I mean, the 30 to the 10 would be interesting because that would be tougher to play as like the cash game.
Yeah, I don't think you could do that.
No, because you need to get you need to get in the top 33%. Like, yeah, you could pull it off, but I don't think.
The thing is, maybe if it's like, again, maybe if it is like a 125ers that's supposed to, because we see sometimes like a Peter Yan, Aljo, just little certain fights where like the winner scores 115 and the loser scores 70. but that has to be like, usually it's the lower weight classes where they throw a ton of volume. They're both really tough. It all depends on the card at the end of the day, like you said, but it's definitely the first round. You could kind of do it, I think, depending on the card. After that, yeah, it'd be pretty tough to stack, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know me, I don't like the stacking anyway. So I'd be a man and just go in there and not stack the title. Hopefully it's a card where you don't have to, like, you don't feel tempted to do that. You can just kind of do whatever. Hopefully it's kind of that card for you. But the interesting thing I'm noticing from your team is like, one, I didn't know Holly Holm was still fighting. So, but
it was our first time in like 2 years or something like that. It was his first return.
Yeah, well, man, like the Holly Holmes score was terrible, and you still did a pretty good job with your score, which is kind of crazy. So, and I guess it's like one of those things. Before we started the show, I was kind of thinking it through, things I wanted to ask you, and whatever. Was there like a really chalky option that like completely dudded really hard, or like what were some of the the really bad scores? Because like what happens a lot in MMA, I've noticed, is like a 60% guy can just get wiped from the field. If that guy's wiped from the field, like, I don't know, at that point, like ownership doesn't matter as much. Also, it's like, if there's only 10 fights, that means there's only 20 fighters. I don't know how many fights were on this one, but like the point I'm getting at is it's hard to find a guy that's single digit owned. You know what I mean? That's just how it is in MMA. So what were like the key things that happened for you within this lineup? I guess maybe not just within this lineup, maybe it's like within the entire card.
Yeah, so there was only 11 fights on this card, which is on the lower end for sure. Usually, like, I mean, lately, I guess 11's been a little more normal than usual, but usually it's like 13 or something like that. So 11 is very few, which you see ownership. Like the lowest owned person on this card was Parker Porter. He was 6,800. He was 10% owned, and he was like a plus 500 dog or plus 450 dog. And usually on like a 13 fight card or something, you see dogs that big come in at 5% owned, 4% owned, something like that. He was still 10% owned, which showed how much like people played everyone at the end of the day. 10% being the lowest owned on the card is not very normal. There wasn't like chalk that absolutely busted. The highest owned was a 55% guy. He put up a big score at 113. I actually did not have him in my lineup. He was 9,400. So Almeida. So you really did have to pay for him if you did want to play him. And in my lineup right now, like I could not get from actually, maybe I could have got, I don't know how much salary I left in this lineup at the end of the day. Maybe I could
have the thing up here. I don't know why it's not there right now, but
I want to say I maybe could have actually got that Almeida guy.
You had 300 left on your title.
Yeah. So that means in this lineup, I did not have the Stone Nuts. The Stone Nuts was Almeida, Jonathan Almeida. He's 9,400 instead of Holly Holm. And that was like a 30-point difference, 35 or something, that shipped the big 15. It shipped everything, but there was a massive split on it. So I didn't have the Stone Nuts. The big things on this card were you talk about it in MMA and why you don't like it a lot. The first two fights on the card, Sam Hughes against Elise Reed, and then Chase Hooper against Colares. Those two put up absolute massive scores as dogs at 7,700, 7,600. You could not win if you did not have Sam Hughes and Chase Hooper in your lineup. I did play 27. So this was the $20. It was 27 entry max. So I maxed. I always max the MME and the qualifier. And right away, what I did is I follow my playbook. I write the playbook for 20 entry and below. Right. What I did, I had 4 fades in the playbook. It was Parker Porter. It was the Omar Morales and Jonathan Martinez fight. Faded them, which Omar Morales came in at 30%. Or actually, again, this ownership could be a little different, but he came in pretty popular. Jonathan Martinez was one of the lower owned fighters. And then I faded Ketlin Vieira against Holly Holm in the main event. So 4 fades right away. But at the end of the day, you're looking at this lineup, what needed to go right? Was there any big bust? There was no really big bust, none of the big chalk. A lot of the ownership was kind of spread out. But at the end of the day, you needed the Hooper and Sam Hughes pairing. And because they were both dogs and were 22% for Hughes, 30% for Hooper. I don't know the exact number, but maybe 10% of the 930 people or whatever in this contest had that pairing or something like that. So it eliminated so much of the field right away. And I just got overweight on that fight, on both of those fights in general. I actually did not pick. I had a good week, obviously. I did not pick the winners as much, like the right winners as much as you think, rather than I targeted the right fights, if that makes sense. I talk about it a lot in MMA. I like full fading certain fights, hoping it's low scoring both ways where I don't care who wins. And there's some fights that I just really like to target because It could be minus 155 plus 135, but I think the winner will score well on both sides. And that was like this. I had Sam Hughes losing to Elise Reed. I thought the Hooper would lose to Colares, but I knew the winner, because of the grappling, because of the pace of the fight and all of that, was going to score well, where I could get overweight on both guys, on all four of those fighters. And that's kind of what helped me in this.
Yeah, I mean, the key is you're just like targeting really good DFS situations, right? It's
Correct.
like targeting those games in NBA. It could be targeting a game with high total. It could be targeting, maybe you're targeting the Coors game. You know what I mean? You're just finding ways to do it to be unique. Like, that's all you're doing. And you're just making sure that, hey, like, this fight is probably going to be in the optimal lineup. So you want to make sure you get exposure to it, which you could, you can go on over and use SaberSim and, be able to do those things with an optimizer, be able to tell it to do it rather than just like hand build them all. I mean, you could hand build them all, but that could be tough. Do you think hand building or using the optimizer is more important in MMA title? Like, what's your kind of thoughts on that?
I'm definitely an optimizer guy in MMA, and well, it's so much easier. Like, you can tell everything you want it to do. And like right away, like I said, I had 4 fades on the playbook. Right when I open up the optimizer, I go to those 4 guys, I uncheck all the boxes. Then you go in SaberSim and you make sure, do not let 2 fighters in the same fight be in your lineup. You make sure you do not stack. And why I like that is, if you hand build, I saw someone in Discord, I don't know if it was last week, 2 weeks ago, he posted, I think it was actually last week, on this card. He had a great lineup. He had all 5 wins. And he said, I was in a rush. I was hand building. And he stacked one of the fights. He had completely the nuts. Like, he had 5 of the 6 winners, but he accidentally stacked Joseph Holmes and Amadovsky, which were in the same fight, where he could have pivoted from whoever he didn't like to someone else. And I will never make that mistake because of the optimizer. If you're trying to hand build 27 lineups, you forget what exposure you're at certain fighters. You forget, maybe you do accidentally stack one because you're in a rush and all that. The optimizer lets you get your percentages down more narrow, let you tinker more and stuff like that. So I'm definitely an optimizer guy in MMA, and that's every sport. I don't mind hand building. Like in NFL, I'm more of I tried MMA last year on Yahoo because of the overlay. I'm probably going to go back to 1 to 3 entries. I'll hand build those for sure. Because like, I know what I want. If you're only building 3 lineups, it's a lot easier. Once you're building 10 lineups or more, I'm an optimizer. There's no right or wrong answer though.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll probably say is, like, yes, you hand build, but I don't know if you do this like with me. I hand build for NFL, but you might just use the optimizer and then like hand pick the team out too, right? Or like, sometimes I might hand build something up and I'll be like, okay, I hand built this in NFL, and then I'll just go over the optimizer and I'll just run it and see what that's doing. And then I'm like trying to understand what the field's going to do. See if I'm missing something. Like, what if I run it and there's like Deebo Samuel's on like 80% of teams and I like didn't even have any interest in him? Then it's like, okay, like maybe I'm doing something wrong. So maybe I need to go back and check things. So it's a good tool to use. It's not, some people find it intimidating at times, and yeah, it can be intimidating. Like, one thing that I'm practicing this summer is I'm trying to get a lot better at MMA, and my goal is I'm just going to, keep playing certain sports. Like golf is one of them I know I'm going to play every single week, and I'm just going to grind out with the optimizer. And that's the reason that you should sign up over at Run Pure Sports. We got a partnership with SaberSim. It's a great optimizer, and you can learn from it too. You can also go back and see how your teams did in review. I know later today, I'm going to go back and see what went wrong on my NBA slate, because I didn't do the best for my NBA stuff yesterday. So kind of want to go back and see kind of what I did right, what I did wrong. Maybe I unchecked too many people. Maybe I messed up. Maybe I took 2 aggressive stands. Maybe it's okay. Maybe I did take enough aggressive stands, and it's just one of those days where it just didn't work out. So it's just one of those things that I think it's smart to use and smart to go through and look at. One thing I'll ask you, Title, is like, do you worry about like the full lineup ownership in MMA? Like, I think full lineup ownership in general is important, but like, do you worry about that much in MMA? What's kind of your thought process there? And like, did you have like a different strategy that kind of got you to this team? Maybe it's like, oh, you made sure to play anyone below 9,100, or you didn't play anyone like below 7,500. Like, this feels like more of like a balanced MMA build, basically as balanced as you could get for MMA. Because a lot of time people, they just completely, either when you go all the way to the top, you just have to punt. You know what I mean? Like 9,100 being your most expensive fighter does feel like it's more of like a balanced build in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it is more of a balanced build. And why that is because we talked about it in the beginning. There's 2 fights that I really did like to target. There's more than 2 fights that I like to target. There's a couple. The Sam Hughes and Elise Reed fight, I really did like 8,500, 7,700. So I got overweight on both those girls, which then 75% of my 100 percent of my teams had one of those two fights. That's a mid-range fight. Chase Hooper, 7,600, Caloris, 8,600. I was overweight on both of them. Those two in the mid-range. The Medic against Omar Morales fight. Medic is in this lineup right here. That's 7,800, 8,400. That fight was like minus 250 to end inside the distance. I like that fight a lot. So those were like the three main fights I targeted on both sides. And because they were all in the mid-range, it allowed me, it made most of my builds almost all balanced. And then we go to like that. Go ahead.
Did you have that optimal team that you talked about, like in like the main?
No, because that's where you're talking total ownership wise. Like 120 people split that prize, or it could have been something else. 100K was up top. The winner is 2,400 or 2,200 was the payout for that. And in those contests, I don't want that, of course. Now it's very hard to build unique lineups. I don't know how many unique lineups I had. It definitely was not like I 150, all of that and stuff. But I at least make sure that I am not playing the chalkiest of all chalky lineups, because if I win, I want like a 10K payout or above. I don't want 2K splitting with all of that. Now you're looking at it, that contest has 35,000 people in it. This one has 920 people in it. So you differ your strategy a little bit. Yeah. But again, I still didn't. And I guess if I played Almeida over Holm, no one did have that lineup. I don't know if the optimize, it just might not have gave it to me. Again, I look at all the teams. Sometimes I uncheck them and I don't play this one. And then I add more and stuff like that. So there's no hard rule I set for total ownership, because also ownership, like you can think you have a pretty good idea on it, but at the end of the day, like I don't know what other tout sites are touting and stuff like that. I don't look at it too much. And in MMA especially, there's only so many places people look. If someone's on something like Omar, or a good example was Vince Morales, his ownership was way higher than I thought it would be. And if you predict the ownership wrong and you set a limit for your total ownership, you can really screw yourself out of some good lineups just because you're setting something when you got the ownership wrong, if that makes sense. So in this, I did make sure one rule I made was at least one of Holly Holm, 9,100. I didn't have any Vieira, so I knew I wanted to get overweight, 25 minutes. And she lost that fight. If she wins, you got 104.89. That is a good score for sure. And it was I'm not calling robbery. A lot of people were calling robbery in that fight. I thought she won, but still, at the end of the day, she didn't. Cheating Njokawani, he was an RPS tag. He was 8,700. I felt really good with him. And then that 9,400 Almeida guy, I made sure to have at least one of those three in my lineups because I was confident all of them would win. I thought at least one of them would put up a big score. So that's kind of how I stapled my lineups. But outside of that, the total ownership thing, I don't set a certain number, but I do look at the lineups to make sure, man, if everyone's going to play this lineup, it just falls together way too nicely. I'm not going to play that lineup then.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you do the min salary? Like, for instance, you made it say like only have this is one thing I did in NBA last night, which I don't know, that could have been a mistake, but I just made sure to like all my teams left $300 or more, right? Like that was like a simple thing I did. And like, I'm going to go back and like go on SaberSim and run like my exposures without that and kind of see what it would have done instead, just to see if it would have maybe done a little bit better. Maybe it was a bad approach to take. I know I X'd out Derek White. So like that was one thing that probably wouldn't have worked out for me in NBA anyways, but like, is that something you did, or maybe that's why you didn't get that lineup, or was it more so with the grouping, like you said?
Yeah. In this contest, I think I said 49.8, I believe I said, so at least 200 left. But I've also I've messed with it on both sides because I go back and look at all the MMA lineups from multiple people and stuff. And a lot of you see unique lineups, even in that $35,000 contest or 35,000 people contest that use 50,000, all the salary, and still are unique. It's all about the roster construction. So I've gone back and forth with that. But because I knew there was only 11 fights on this card, and in a qualifier, you don't want to have the same lineup as other people. If you look who took second place right below me, 3 people had that same exact lineup. And you don't want that because then what? You got to go play those 3 people for that one seat. Like you have to win twice at the end of the day. So I think it was 49.8 that I used. But again, that's not every slate. If there's 15 fights on the card, it's way easier to get different. You can use all 50,000 salary and still be unique. So it's a slate dependent thing for me. It's also, I mess with builds. I see, is this 50,000 salary, maximum salary? Do I still think I can be different enough and be fine with it? But the less fights on the card, I do tend to leave more salary because I do want to get different.
Yeah, Tyler, you don't want to do those like when you tie for a Q. You don't want to do those. I've done them.
No.
I've done them too many times. They're annoying.
Yeah.
I had one where I won, and it was for like a betting. It was for like a one of the DK bet things, but then like COVID happened and it got canceled, so I just got.
Oh, I remember you won that. We were sweating that out that one night, and then it didn't happen. That was pretty sad.
No, yeah, it was. So I sweated the one I won that I sweat out. It was like two nights after. Like I did it 2 nights after, and like both nights we literally had the same teams. Like the slate started and like same team, and then there was one the time that I won finally that we had a different team. I had to sweat out like, and this was like before COVID, so I was sweating like fading Russell Westbrook getting like, I don't know, like I think he had like at the end of like the third quarter, he had like 30 DK points. And like someone's like, yeah, you're only fading like Russell Westbrook's not getting 25 in a quarter. Like that's just not happening. And I was like, this is Russell Westbrook. It can happen. And I remember there was literally 90 seconds left. And like, it was like, it's like the last shot more than likely. Like if it goes in, the game's going to keep going or they're just going to like quit completely. I had to sweat out a Russell Westbrook 3-pointer when he was on the Rockets. So I was like, if this goes in, like, and that ball was in the air for a long time, that Russell Westbrook 3. So it was a fun sweat. But
I remember that we were on Xbox that night. You and I used to. Most people probably won't know that out there. Mangone and I mean, this is probably 3 years before COVID, like you said. Before I was with RPS, I was doing stuff. We were playing Fortnite and stuff together. Fortnite, great game. I don't play Xbox anymore, but that's what we were sweating it out. I remember, you were definitely engaged, and it was a fun sweat for sure.
Yeah, actually, when I got hit with the COVID last week, I had nothing to do. I was stuck in my room, so I did fire up the Fortnite, and they have no build mode now.
I was gonna say, is that just the mode, or is that just how the whole game is now?
No, there's 2 different ones. So like you can pick whichever one you want to do. It's kind of fun, but the problem is like you just get rolled up on by people. Like if you could be in a fight and like everyone hears it and they just run to you, and it just keeps, you never can like get off the ground if you don't have cover. So it's
Fortnite's literally built on like the building aspect. That is what Fortnite was. So that, I don't, like I said, I don't play.
It's still kind of fun though. Like it just depends. I don't know. It's not what it used to be though, but it was fun. I mean, again,
of the 45 people watching, there's maybe 5 or 6 that actually care about this Fortnite. But I had to bring it up.
Yeah, no, it was definitely good. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We got Steve Anthony saying good morning, Richie Smalls. Let's get it. Vinny, good morning, RPS. Happy to have you guys here. We're going to dive in and talk some NBA now, though. Congrats to you, Title, on this nice win. Obviously, you'll be sweating that out whenever the final starts up. Typically, we have MMA over here at Run Pure Sports. Tyler, there's no MMA this week. So before we go into the NBA, why don't you just tell the people a little bit about what we have in MMA? That way, hey, maybe they're new to MMA. Maybe they've never played MMA DFS and they want to get into it. I'll let them be the judge of what their thoughts are on it. But tell the people about the playbook and the core plays and everything that you kind of do over here at Run Pure for MMA.
Yeah, we have a show every Friday. So the non-pay-per-view cards are Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Keg, myself, DC, break down all the fights. It's free on YouTube. And then during the pay-per-view cards, it's Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. Then I have a playbook every single week. I break down every single fight. I make tags. I'll say fade. I'll say GPP. I'll say underweight. I'll say the RPS tag, cash, all that stuff. I have core plays for it as well. Big T always puts out his player pool and his core as well. Hoop drops his core plays a lot in the Discord. It's a lot of fun. Big T, Hoop, love it. Mangone does not. So again, you make your own assumption based on the MMA streets and give it a try. And it's just a fun sport at the end of the day. I think it's each fight is like independent from one another. It goes number 1, you get a little time. It goes number 2, 3, 4, etc. So you know exactly where you are after each fight, which I really like because once you go to the main event, you know where you're sitting and you can make a hedge if you're in a legal betting spot. Just say you need this guy to win. If he wins and you think he'll score enough points, and it was a couple of weeks ago, we had Brian on the show. He was sitting with the nuts lineup if Charles Oliveira won a couple of weeks ago. And it was $150K, and he wanted to get $70,000 down on Justin Gaethje just to middle. He just wanted to take his profit. He didn't want to let it ride. And that's one of the unique sports where you can't do that in NBA. You can't do that in NFL. Just even, I don't think that's the only sport you really can. I don't know about tennis if they go like that. I think they have multiple matches going on at the same time, but
yeah,
you can
the
see
prize pools are probably not big enough to, you probably
that
like
too.
You can, right? But like it have to be like one of like the bigger, like you could do it for
don't they have like multiple courts going at the same time? So like multiple matches
yeah,
going?
probably. So it's not that simple. I mean, MMA, it's a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, and like that's the one sport. So like, yeah, if you want to, like, it's a sport where you can take profit if you want to at a lot of times. Again, not every time you're going to be sitting there in that spot, but when you are, yeah, it's nice that you can be able to get down a hedge. You can see where you are after every situation. And I absolutely love it. Two train killers going at it, trying to kill each other. It gets me excited on Saturdays. Unfortunately, nothing this week, but we'll be back. It's pretty much every week in the MMA streets.
Yeah, I'll stick to betting on it. I enjoy the betting. I've swore off at title. I'm like
the one that's Cerrone. By the way, that's Cerrone because you said I saw you take me. I was at the Bucks game. I saw they canceled it the minute after the Cerrone Lozon fight, and you were like, "Is this is still the best sport?" PGA, what happened? The week after, someone after lock got it. NBA, it happens sometimes. I will say, though, I think that cost me. If Donald Cerrone won that fight, it actually happened and he won, I would have been over 150K richer. I had the stone nuts with Cowboy Cerrone in the lineup, and I only would have needed like 60 points. So that one did hurt a little bit and sting. And I do remember your comments. I'm like, man, that had to happen that week. But hey, it is what it is. We all have those stories.
I just don't get how they can't fix it. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that one was absolutely ridiculous because they knew about that before. I will say, from a selfish standpoint, because I was at the Bucks game, I would have been screwed. Like I wouldn't have been able to switch all my lineups and stuff. So it made me at least feel better internally because, man, if I could have switched that and I had the stone nuts, man, I don't know. I would definitely be going crazy. But it's like there's been like someone collapsing.
I mean, if you knew, you would have just done a global swap on your phone, probably.
But like I don't know how that can work in MMA because I have so many like lineups. You know, I don't know how it would have gone. Yeah, I would have figured it out.
You would have figured it out. It would have been annoying, but you would have at least figured out the global swap. I mean, it's not like it's one of those things where maybe what it would have done is it probably would have kept global swapping. Like for instance, like
if you go this guy. Yeah,
like you'd have to probably keep doing the global swap like over and over, I assume.
I would have figured out. To be honest, I probably actually would have emailed DraftKings and said, please take out all 150 of these lineups at the end of the day because that would have been the easiest thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, it didn't happen. But yeah, I hear you. I mean, stuff like that is definitely tilting. We've had someone like collapse backstage before he's about to walk out, or he's had anxiety attacks and stuff like that. That's stuff you can't change. But them knowing about it an hour in advance, or whatever it was, and telling you the second the fights come on that this fight's canceled, that is ridiculous. I definitely hear your pain about that one.
Yeah, for sure. But now to wrap up the MMA stuff, we'll talk about what's it called? We'll talk about some NBA here and talk about kind of like the games that we've seen so far, how we think it's all going to end up. Obviously, I think the game tonight, Warriors and Mavericks, it's one of those unfortunate things. I mean, this series is kind of over, in my opinion, right? I think you'd agree. I believe the game is tonight, right?
Yep.
They should be back in Golden State. So do you think Golden State gets the job done? I heard that, of course, Reggie Bullock's going to say, he's going to tell you they're going to win, but he said, we're not losing anymore. It's like, okay, well, it might be a little too late, Reggie. You should have made some shots. So I don't get yes, I get what he's doing, but like, they're in trouble. I think Golden State wins it tonight. I think it's going to be a tough game, but hey, let's say they do win it. Then if all you got to do is win your home game and anything can happen in game 7. So what's your thoughts, Tyler? Do you think the Warriors wrap it up here tonight in Golden State, or do you think it goes back to Dallas? What's kind of your thoughts on the series?
I think Dallas battles, to be honest. But then you look at the number right now, it's -7 for the Warriors. Then I see -9 for the Celtics tomorrow. Wow. That's a big boy number, which it's hard to argue about that one. But -7 feels wide to me. I do think Dallas battles. I mean, game 2, they had the Warriors, they collapsed at the end. Game 3, they're competing all game. They just could not hit shots. Game 4, they look really good. And yeah, then the bench of Golden State makes a comeback. But even game 1, they shot the ball very, very poorly. Golden State ran away with it at the end. You just got to think they can shoot at least normal, at least a decent shooting game. And I think their defense will keep them in it at the end of the day. -7 feels wide, but I always hate Because just say it's a 3-point game with 2 minutes left and all that. Then you start getting Warriors make a bucket, whatever it is, and they start fouling at the end because they're going to drag the game out as long as possible. Then you backdoor cover that 7, even though the game played way closer the whole time, would be my only worry with that. But I'm on the Dallas side, to be honest. And I have said I think the Warriors are a little overrated. I think Boston's going to take care of them if it is Boston and the Warriors. I hope the number is pretty good. I will definitely be backing Boston there. I think Dallas fights, though. I really, really do. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say Dallas does pull it out. I see plus 235. I think that number is a little wide. I think they pull it out, and I think they do come back to Dallas. Like you said, anything can happen. I'm not saying Dallas is going to win the series. No one's ever done it down 3-0 and stuff. I do think they do force a game 6, though, and I think it gets the series really interesting. So it's going to be a bold prediction. I'll say it, but I do think Dallas gets it done today.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the Dallas side the last 2 games. I can't back it this time, but I get it. Dallas there. Listen, it's going to be fun to at least watch. I know some people in the chat were saying, hey, like they want more games. So like, let's just get them to win again. Yeah, I would love Dallas to win again. It would be nice. I'm not going to be sitting there rooting on the Warriors, but that's just my thoughts of what I think happens. I do think in Showdown tonight, like Luka captain, I think is just like the way to go pretty much every showdown, it seems like, especially the way all the pricing is going. And can we talk about Kevon Looney? I mean, he has been like incredible in this series.
He's going to get paid.
It's weird. And then on top of that, like even if they play Miami or the Celtics, regardless of who they play, like Kevon Looney is going to be used next series, right? Like, I was joking with Spread a little bit about this. Like, can we get a Kevon Looney MVP in the finals over Steph Curry, right? Just to tilt the people a little more. But no, Kevon Looney's been great though. It's crazy how good he's looked so far. Andrew Wiggins has looked incredible. Like it's crazy. That's one thing I'm going to take a victory lap on, Title. I like the Andrew Wiggins trade back in the day. I also thought the Russell Westbrook trade would work. So we always take L's and we take W's, but I thought the Wiggins thing would work out really well. And it's worked out even better than I thought, because he's not even just like a 3-and-D wing guy. He's really just making those open shots, and he's making them pay because they're covering, Curry and Clay and Jordan Poole. It's just like when you cover all those guys at the top of the key, it just opens up so much more. You know what I mean?
I mean, the biggest thing is he has looked like amazing. I'll say the biggest thing though is his defense. And yes, he's always been a good defender, his athleticism, but look at like he fights through every screen. You see how much Luka, every series before this, Luka has been able to find the mismatch, to find the switch, and other teams haven't been able to figure out. They're trying so hard to get Poole, to get Steph on the switch and all of that. Andrew Wiggins is fighting through all those screens. They're all recovering. They're making them work. And at the end of the day, it's Wiggins against Luka with 8 seconds left in the shot clock in a lot of the possessions. And he's there. Luka's going to make tough shots all the time. He's Luka. But Wiggins has played phenomenal on the defensive end. And then just like Drew Holiday and stuff, where he plays defense so hard, he fights for 40-plus minutes. You don't expect him to carry the offensive load. That's why the Middleton injury hurts so much. You have Giannis, all those guys. Wiggins doesn't need to on the offensive end with Poole, with Steph, with Clay, but he has, which is the craziest part. He is absolutely putting on a show from the 3-point line, from the mid range. When he gets to the basket, he's being aggressive. His athleticism's out of this world. He can jump high, so he creates his own shot. He is playing really, really good basketball, and that is the one concern. I say the Warriors, I thought, have been a little overrated, but that's because this Wiggins has not been they say it all the time. I think it's Van Gundy that always talks about, which I don't love Van Gundy and his announcing, but he's talked about he's never seen Andrew Wiggins this aggressive, and he has never played as good a basketball as he has in this series. So if he keeps doing this, man, the Warriors are going to be a tough out for anyone. I don't know. Can he keep making those tough contested mid-range shots? Is he going to keep shooting the ball 15, 20 times a game? I don't know, but they do need him to, because he has been a complete stud and he has changed his whole Warriors team without a doubt. Because Clay is overrated, man. He is not the same since his injury. Like, I'll take Poole over Clay. If you're Dallas and you see Clay shoot a somewhat contested jumper, I'm happy, and you'll live with that all day.
Yeah, Clay is definitely not the same, but he's someone that you want to let shoot a little more than I think people realize. I'm with you on that. With the Wiggins thing, when they run into Boston, those wing defenders are going to be a problem. I'll just say that. So I am very excited to see Celtics and Warriors. That's what I'm hoping to see.
I'm hoping to. That's the best series.
I am a Celtic fan, so a little biased there, but I would like to see those two face off. And I still think I'm going to be able to get a good price in the Celtics against the Warriors. I really do feel confident in that.
I'm debating. Are you going to wait? Are you going to wait? Like, hope the Warriors can steal again? Because the Warriors got home court, right? If they do play, Warriors have the better record, or is that not true?
No, I would say I thought it was Boston. Maybe
Is it?
Well, let's see.
Let's see. Warriors regular season record 53 and 29, Boston 51-31. So yeah, Warriors will get the home court because it's based on the record. It's not based on seeds.
Yeah.
So
I guess
are you gonna wait? Hope the Warriors can take the game, steal game one, not steal. I guess they'd probably be the favorite. Take game one and try and get a better price, or you're not even gonna risk it? Because I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the day if Boston comes in and beats the Warriors game one by any means.
The one concern is like Boston's injury stuff, right? Like you just don't. Gosh, there's always someone hurt. It feels like so. That's
because Robert Williams is definitely banged. He is definitely banged up. Smart man, he is. Smart's always hurt or whatever, but Robert Williams' knee is, and he's a huge part. And man, I gotta go back to the Bucks and all that, but it is so impressive that the Bucks literally made Robert Williams a do not play. I'm not healthy, but he could have played in that game. He probably would have played against any other team. And Grant Williams and Horford were just better in that series, where Robert Williams did not see a minute in Game 7, which is crazy to look at now. I mean, because Robert Williams is a stud. Look at the impacts he makes in a game in and game out basis. And he didn't play at all in Game 7 against the Bucks, which is pretty crazy to look back at.
Yeah, I probably would say so I thought last series Marcus Smart was more valuable than Robert Williams. And in this series, I think Robert Williams is more valuable than Marcus Smart. And then
for sure,
if they play the Warriors, I kind of think that my opinion would be Smart is more valuable than Robert Williams in that series. I think that would make
they're going to need his defense to chase around for sure.
Exactly. I think that would be the more valuable piece for them. So yeah, but they need guys healthy. I mean, it's just been a disaster. I mean, it sounds like you and I are in agreement. Like, do you see any route where maybe Miami can get there? I mean, I think it's like with Jimmy Butler just going off, but the problem is I think with Robert Williams down low, it's hard for him to get those buckets that he likes to get. And he can't get to the foul line because of how good Boston is defensively. They're not giving him those free throws that Jimmy Butler always gets. You know what I mean?
I mean, I thought Miami was fraud since day one. If we talk about taking L's, I thought the Hawks could give him some problems and maybe upset him in the first round. So if I'm saying the Hawks are going to get it done, there's no way I can pick the Heat against the Celtics. So yeah, I mean, I waited till game one. I wanted the Heat to win to then get a better price on the Celtics. At the end of the day, I just thought the winner of Milwaukee and the Celtics were going to get to the finals. And arguably, I thought they were going to win it. If the Suns, I thought it was going to be Suns against one of those two. And man, the Suns definitely let me down. But I think Boston, I think they take care of business tomorrow. And then I think they beat the Warriors. They're just a really complete team. They have multiple scorers. They got floppers. Grant Williams is the most annoying player in basketball. They do have to fix something about this flopping. It's not only him, of course. There's multiple people, but they do have to fix something with this flopping because, man, it's getting tough.
Title's having flashbacks to the last series with Grant Williams flopping all over the court.
It's not only last year. He's doing it this series too. He is the most annoying. Gosh, he's grabbing his face, grabbing his shoulder. Then they're about to take him out. He's like, no, I'm fine. It's like, dude, I can't stand him. I really can't.
Hey, yeah, you might have to call him Grant Williams NBA champion soon. We'll have to see. Again, it's going to be a fun final.
He played a role in it. At the end of the day, I'm not saying he's making winning plays, but there's better ways to make winning plays than flopping every other possession. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it'd be crazy too. I don't know if this is a big deal, but it is a rookie coach, right? I mean, it's his first year as a coach. So that is something interesting that I forgot about.
He's done a great job. He has done a great job.
Oh yeah, it's been awesome to watch for sure. Here's a question for you that I had on the show with Spread. Middleton or Drew? If you had to get rid of one, one just couldn't be there next year, who would you get rid of?
Are you asking me who I would or who the Bucks would?
Who would you who do you think is more valuable? Is it Middleton more valuable or is Drew Holiday more valuable?
Man, this is tough. I want to say Drew. I do because he fights. So I mean, his what he does on the defensive end for 40 plus minutes is absolutely
so unique.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a hound at the defensive end. So I will say Drew, but the Bucks, Giannis will play with Middleton, I think, his whole career. Since Giannis got in the league, Middleton's been there the whole way. Giannis always talks about, he said, the whole journey with them. If they trade someone, I would be really surprised if it was Middleton and not Drew. So, but I will say Drew on that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I agree on Drew. It was just one of those questions I talked to Spread about. So we
what did he say?
He was thinking Middleton more rather than Drew.
I want to say the recency bias will say Middleton over Drew because, I mean, at the end of the day, Drew didn't play great on the offensive end, but people just forget what he does on the defensive end every possession. Like I don't think he can be a number 2 scorer at the end of the day on a championship team. They need the third piece, especially in the NBA nowadays.
Yeah, and this is my favorite, Steve Anthony. You're not getting Dane first for Chris Middleton. I see what you're trying to do there, but I don't think
there was a Sports Illustrated reporter yesterday. I saw someone sent it to me. It was Middleton or Drew for Kyrie was another one of the things.
No one's doing that. Why would the Nets get rid of Kyrie?
At the end of the day, though, I don't even want the Bucks. Like the Bucks should run what they won the championship with those 3. Middleton was hurt. They fought Boston to a game 7 without one of their best players. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Why would the Bucks try and change any of that? Like, keep them 3. Like,
no,
what are you doing?
You keep them 3 right now, and you try and figure out your role players correctly. Like,
and you got to figure
letting
that
PJ
out.
Tucker walk was bad. Like that hurt them.
At the end of the day, they just didn't have the money. Like he wanted the money, and it was either Bobby or PJ, and Bobby took the discount. Like I agree with you. I think everyone does, but
yeah.
Like, I heard the talks like they just couldn't at the end of the day.
Yeah, and again, the other thing too, like they didn't have Middleton. Like it wasn't the same team. Like that's how it happens. Like guys get hurt, and it happens. So and you just gotta hope you don't get the injury bug too bad. That's why I'm hoping the Celtics. I hope it's out of the way now. Like they beat the Heat coming up here in the next game, which means we only got a couple. We only got a couple more, showdown slates. So we get that big finals one where there's the $1 million up top. So that should be a good time. Also, Title, I did it one last time. I played a 2-game slate. I played, there was like a really small secondary contest. And I was like, you know what? Like it's my last time playing some NBA DFS that's not Showdown. So I played last night and my team's not terrible. I think it's going to min cash. So we'll take it. But I just wanted to play one last time, and it felt weird looking at it since we played so much Showdown lately.
What are the prizes though? Like that's why I haven't even looked at it because they can't be great.
There was a $15 10K to first. That was the best one, so I threw it in. I just wanted to I was like, oh wow, this is weird. I'm playing with positions. Like there's a shooting guard. It's not like just pick whoever you want. So
because you got to wait months and months until we get the good NBA back in the man. It's always tough. NFL will be here before we know it though.
Yeah, we have MLB. We have tons of stuff over here at Run Pure Sports. Obviously, we got NASCAR on the weekends. We got the MMA. So a lot of tons of stuff over here at Run Pure Sports. Also want to mention the promo that we have over here. Title talked about the core plays and the playbook that he does for MMA. Use that code PGA50. Get you 50% off that. Get you 50% off all the sports over here at Run Pure. Get you off the Showdown content that we have. Speaking of that too, let me go through the show schedule for tonight because we have a Showdown show as well. So let me go through that schedule for this Thursday for you guys. We got the morning show right now, so obviously you're tuning into that. 4:45 MLB Swing for the Fences show. It'll be me, Title, and Hoop. We'll be back at it talking some MLB. Then we got the final countdown, 6 p.m. Holden, DC, and JSU. They'll be breaking that all down. And then the Showdown, NBA, JSU, and Big T. They'll be talking about the game tonight, the Mavericks and the Warriors. So if you're enjoying this conversation, you want to get on over at Run Pure Sports, use that code PGA50 and sign up so you can check out that show. And then hey, we got round 2 Showdown coming up tonight. That should be with Tambo, Hoop, and Snyder. They will be talking about the round 2 and if there's any edge. I know there was a little bit of wind edge today. So, hey, people might play it, though, and there might be a little bit of an edge depending on the weather. So I might even check that out. So want to wait and see if there's a little bit of an edge because, hey, last week there was an edge. And Tambo, what did he do? Shipped 125K. We talked about that on the Tuesday show. So if you want to watch that back, you can go back there and check that out. But that's what we got there for that Title. Let's I don't know if you want to give let's give a prediction. I assume it's gonna be Celtics Warriors. What's your prediction? Who do you think wins if it's that combination? And then we'll kind of get on out of here and call it a day.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Celtics Warriors, but I'm saying the Mavs take this one. I am, and I know obviously it's a hot take. Warriors are sitting at -300 right now. It's -7. I think they give them a battle, though. I really, really do. I think they hit some shots. I think their defense will keep them in it. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for in a close game toward the end. I think Luka's the best player on the court. I do think they get it done today. So that's going to be the tough prediction. And as far as the Showdown and stuff we're looking at, like, man, it's just so hard not to lock Luka captain right now. And yes, it's chalky. Yes, all that. But he can shoot the ball poorly, can do all that. He's going to play 40 plus minutes. Obviously, it's go home. It's do or die. You lose, you go home. And his peripheral stats is just so much. Like if I think Dallas wins, how do I not plug him in at captain? So it's kind of how I'm doing it. And what about like Kuminga down there? What? He's 2.8K now. He gets the big price bump. I think they go back and they play him today. Otto Porter is questionable. That is a pretty big piece of news. I don't think he plays. What are your thoughts on that? Like his ankle or his foot definitely did not seem like it would recover and be fine in a couple days. So I don't think he plays. If he does, the Kuminga plays a little harder. But man, Kuminga's good for them. He's athletic.
He's Otto Porter, right, with the injury?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I want to know Kuminga's ownership because, like, here's the thing with Kuminga. Like, the dude could easily DMP today, and I would not be shocked. It just would not surprise me at all. Like, or he could go in there and play 2 minutes, and Kerr's like, okay, get out of here. Like, this isn't working out. And I wouldn't be surprised the Warriors play a little bit of a tighter rotation just to close this thing out. Like, it's in Golden State. They don't want to go back to Dallas, right? So I could see them play that tighter, and maybe some of those guys don't get as much run as you'd think. So, but
they wouldn't just play. They wouldn't just play, like, just say Porter's out. They wouldn't just run 6, though. Like, I did not see Kerr doing that. Do you? Because outside of Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, Poole, Looney, it's one of Moody, Kuminga, Damian Lee's got some. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Kuminga would be the guy. Yes, if Otto Porter is in, it gets a little more dicey. But you don't think they could play 6, do you?
No, but they could definitely do the 7, and like they could go Moody instead. I would want to know what, like, for instance, like yesterday, like Oladipo is a good example. Like Oladipo was really chalky and like he did really bad. And like, hey, if Kuminga can easily done. He could be out there and like miss a bunch of shots. So like, I just want to know Kuminga's ownership. I think that's super important DFS wise. So I think that's going to matter a ton for sure there. What if it's Celtics and Warriors? What's your prediction title? Who do you think wins it?
I'm on the Celtics. I think thought the Warriors are a little overrated. Again, if Wiggins keeps playing like this, so it's going to be even tougher. But man, Celtics are so tough on both ends of the court. They have multiple scorers. They have multiple closers. They play great defense. They play the great coach. I think Celtics at the end of the day, I thought it was going to be the winner of Bucks Celtics would take on the Suns. And then I was going to be nervous. But once the Suns got bounced, I thought the winner of that was going to take it. And Celtics have just been playing great. So give me the Celtics. I think they get it done, and I'll have some money on them.
Yeah. So let's respond to Thomas's question, and then we'll get out of here. Would he be crazy to fade Luka tonight on DK? So like, I don't think it's crazy, but this is what I'll say. I'm probably not fading Luka, but if you are fading Luka, the way to fade Luka is playing a mid-tier balanced build, because that way, let's say Luka even goes for like 50. Well, there's a chance even at 50, he's not on the winner. Possibly there can be a chance. And it's if that mid-tier balance build is good and the cheap guys fail as well. It's also the cheap guys not being in the opto as well. So that would be the way that I would approach it. I'd really want to hammer home a super balanced build. What's your thoughts on that, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, you'll never say it's crazy. It's Showdown, and you're trying to take first place. Luka's going to be by far the most popular. Like, anything can happen. You don't wish an injury on anybody, but that's always a possibility. Foul trouble, again, it's not likely, all that stuff. But you're trying to take first place with the least amount of people as possible. So will I be doing it? No. Luka will probably be in every single one of the lineups I build. Crazy though? No. I mean, or you do have to be a little crazy to take first place. So yeah, if he only has 50 DK points, if you told me he had 50 DK points, I would definitely be underweight at the end of the day. Like, I think he's going to score 60 plus. I think he's maybe going to score 70. You know what I'm saying? But yes, if you do fade him, you hope Draymond at 7.6, Wiggins 8K, Poole 7.2, DFS 6.6, Looney 7K. Those guys you hope have the ceiling game. And maybe like it would have to be what? Brunson at 9K? Like, looks like he'll probably be low owned. 9K is a lot for Brunson.
I think you'd want Brunson on that team.
Or Dinwiddie or DFS.
You also don't want like a lot of Dallas. Like, you don't want to like load up on those guys. You actually want to probably play a lot of like you either want a 4-2 Warriors or a 5-1. I think
hoping they blow them out and get all the starters out at what, 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. You're kind of hoping something like that.
Yeah, or the game is like maybe it's like 90 to like 60. And like, yeah, I mean, the thing is like people say like, oh, the Mavericks will play like to the buzzer. And it's like, dude, if it's 90-60, they're not going to play the buzzer. Like they're going to pull Luka, give him like a standing O. Like they're just going to do that. Like it's just how it goes. Now, I'm not saying that's the most likely thing to happen, but I'm just saying if that happens, then that's happening. Like it just it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 90-70, yeah, Luka's probably going to be into the last 2-3 minutes. 90-60, if it's a 30-point game, 35-point game, which I don't think happens, obviously, but we've seen this happen all the time in the playoffs this year. He's not going to be out there 5 minutes left. He's playing banged up, man. Like the amount of injuries, and I mean, everyone's playing banged up at this part of the year at the end of the day, but Luka's definitely taking a toll on his body. So if there's 5 minutes left down 30, he wouldn't even want to be in. Like, what's the point of leaving him in?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. If it's down that bad, just you let him walk out. I mean, not that it's not in Dallas, so he can't get the standing O like I was thinking, but like, yeah, it's just one of those things. You just quit. You call it.
I will say though, every lineup I make will have Luka. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, currently for me, they will as well. I'll look at the build though. I think it's worth looking at and seeing because it hit once so far. I'm pretty sure, but
it's not about how often it hits. It's when it hits. How much will you make? And if Luka's not on the optimal, you'll be making a good amount more than likely.
Exactly. But that'll wrap it up for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining. Please like and subscribe to this video on your way out the door. We would appreciate it, but we are going to get on out of here. For me, Mangone and Titletown, we will see you guys later.
Good luck, everybody.